Procurement involves money, and risks of fraud and corruption are always present. Furthermore, people involved in procurement often find themselves subject to rumors and suspicion, but also to pressure from suppliers and others. Therefore, it is important to have adequate control measures in place in the procurement process, to protect the assets of DRC, to be sure that we help our beneficiaries as efficiently as possible, and to protect our staff from pressure. Control measures work on different levels. First of all, we need to make sure that the formal systems are in place for handling procurement and that the correct procedures are used. We also need to make sure that the procurement process can be tracked and reviewed at a later stage by having properly filed documentation. Without this, we cannot prove that we actually conducted procurement as we were supposed to. Dividing responsibilities between staff members is a must in procurement. The same person must never order, procure, receive, and pay. Sensitive tasks, such as the collection of quotes, site visits, good reception, and quality checks, should not be done by one person alone. Everyone should be able to see that no bids are lost or modified, and that evaluation takes place according to the main principles of DRC procurement. At the same time, it's important that confidential information is not disclosed either inside or outside DRC. Remember that a lot could be at stake for suppliers bidding, and we need to do everything to ensure that the process is fair and transparent and that their confidential information is protected. When working with procurement, you may find yourself in a situation of conflict of interest. A conflict of interest is when you have personal, financial, or family relations that compromise your objectivity and your commitment to the interest of DRC. An example of a conflict of interest would be if you are involved in the procurement process and your spouse owns a company that submits a bid. In this case, you're not only driven by the interest of DRC to receive the best value for money, but also for actually awarding the contract to the company of your spouse. In such a case, you should not participate in the process, as this may be seen as influencing your objectivity. We all have interests outside DRC, and at times this may collide with our work. This is perfectly normal. If you ever find yourself in a conflict of interest, you should always inform your manager so that a decision can be made on what to do. This would normally mean that you cannot participate in the specific processes involving your conflict of interest, and it will not mean that you're not able to do your job. Disclosing a conflict of interest is your duty, and you will never be punished for doing so. On the other hand, failing to disclose a conflict of interest will certainly have negative consequences. Remember that although you may not feel that a conflict of interest affects your objectivity, others may perceive that it does. Therefore, you should always inform your manager and ask for advice if you find yourself in a conflict of interest.